I'm kind of excited. I'm super nervous. Like, my approach towards this business has been to never be too exposed and to...
When there's $15 million on the line, I don't think you can trust anybody. $15 million. That's exactly how much Parker just paid. Nearly everything he has to buy a massive gold claim called Dominion Creek. One purchase, one wire transfer, one bet that either secures his mining empire for the next decade or destroys everything he's spent the music last 10 years building from the ground up. We have a young, hungry crew that is just chewing through ground like crazy. Not only is there a ton of ground, but it's richer. I don't know. I guess he's just playing me. Make me make a music shotgun decision. The deposit is supposed to hold $160 million in gold. But right now, 7 weeks into the season, Parker hasn't sleeved a single ounce. His crew is spread across 3 locations. His equipment keeps breaking down. And every single day, he's spending more money than he made during his entire first season, mining with his grandpa. You find anything? What do you think, Grandpa? Oh my. Ooh, that is beautiful. The Yukon doesn't care how much you paid for the land. It only cares whether you can actually pull the gold out before the money runs dry. And Parker Schnabel's money is running out fast. Parker's bet. Parker needs 5,000 ounces this season to make the numbers work. He's got Tyson Lee prepping wash plant. Music, Slucifer at the El Dorado cut on Keenan Stewart's ground. Mitch is stripping the money pit at Dominion Creek, a 40-acre cut that could deliver 3,000 ounces if the drill tests are right. And at a third site called Australia Creek, I know that we have a lot of things on the go. We have Australia Creek. Music. We have Dominion. Now, I'm trying to figure out what the best way of dealing with all of this is. Dozers are pushing mud through what's basically a swamp. None of these locations are producing gold yet. The checkbook is taking a beating that keeps Parker up at night. His own crew feels it. Mitch puts it plainly. He wouldn't want to be Parker's checkbook right now. It's taking a beating. And the scary part is they haven't even started slewing yet. It's taking a beating. But here's the catch. Parker doesn't even have enough working equipment to run all 3 sites properly. So mechanic Jordan Sands pulls off something borderline insane. Music. He takes the body of one dead D11 dozer, bolts it to the track frames of a second dozer, wraps it in salvage treads, and drops it onto the 15-foot blade of a third machine. A Franken dozer stitched together from scrap parts and desperation. A brand new D11 runs $2 million. Jordan built one out of junkyard steel and stubbornness. And the thing actually works. Nice. Safe turning. We never thought we'd see it together. As good a shape as it is. A brand new one is $2 million. So, we saved a lot of money by this one here for sure. It's pushing dirt at Australia Creek like it rolled off the factory floor. The parts that were supposed to be full of oil were full of mud. Last Jordan checked, that's a very poor lubricant. But somehow the monster runs. That's the kind of season this is. Nothing comes easy. Everything breaks. The Yukon mud alone is a full-time enemy. Rising temperatures turn every cut into a black sludge pit that swallows trucks and snaps skid plates off their frames. One of Parker's loaders slides off a road and wraps its mid-axle around a tree trunk. Tyson has to leave his wash plant, the only thing that might generate income, music, to spend hours pulling it free with chains. A rookie operator named Jacob rips the skid plates off his haul truck. A ripper cylinder on a D11 snaps clean off in the money pit, paralyzing the dozer. Mechanic Jordan scavenges a replacement from a different model that's been sitting parked for who knows how long. No guarantees it'll work, but it does. Every breakdown bleeds money. Every hour down is gold left in the ground. And Parker's running out of time to get any of it back. The claim is half the size of Manhattan. The operation is massive. And right now, music, it's all outflow. Zero inflow. Parker Schnabel is watching his fortune drain into the Yukon dirt with nothing to show for it yet. But Parker isn't the only miner in the Klondike betting big this season. Up at Paradise Hill, the king of the Klondike is running his own high-wire act. Tony Beets. While Parker's betting $15 million on one creek, Tony Beets is trying to mine 2 massive operations at once, and it's already falling apart. At Paradise Hill, Tony's merging 2 existing cuts into one giant super pit. 18 acres of ground, music, 10 trucks, 3 excavators, 2 D11 dozers running around the clock. He's thrown every piece of iron he owns at this thing. But Tony admits he hasn't drilled as thoroughly as he wanted. He's running on instinct and decades of experience. And if he's wrong about where the White Channel pay runs, he's burning millions for nothing. So this year we got a kind of a big target, music, 6,000 ounces, and right now we're right at 0. So we better get doing something, music, and change that. The problem is the permafrost. The ground is frozen concrete hard, and it's getting worse the further they push into the hill. Every foot has to be ripped and thawed before it can be moved. A process that eats time and money at a pace that makes even Tony flinch. And then his lead D11 hits a wall of frozen earth so hard it snaps the ripper shank clean in 2. The replacement weighs 1.3 tons and takes 3 days to arrive. With chief mechanic Kevin, music, still away, Tony's kids have to wrestle it into place themselves. The hydraulic pin system, music, can't generate enough power to seat the shank. Nothing lines up. So Tony grabs a hammer, tells everyone to keep their fingers clear. He's had them smashed too many times, and pounds the pin in by hand until the hydraulics finally catch and lock it home. The dozer's back. But 3 days of downtime on the edge of the Arctic Circle, where you've only got 6 months to mine, is time, music, Tony cannot get back. And get this, things actually get worse. Tony gets his Indian River license back after 4 years. 5,000 acres of ground that once produced $22 million in gold. He moves his entire operation 40 m south, drains a flooded cut, and the family pans gold for the first time in 4 years. Fat, chunky flakes glinting in the pan. It feels like a turning point. Then mining, music, inspectors show up unannounced. Tony misread his license. On a restricted Class 3 permit, he can only sleuse 1 acre, not 15. The sooner the guy gets losing, the happier things are going to be. I mean down here, since I had a couple cuts closed already that should take us less time started loosing here because we should be frost-free. The season he's been building toward for 4 years nearly dies in a single afternoon. The authorities eventually grant a compromise. He can work the ground he'd already stripped, but no new stripping. It's a lifeline, not a victory. And the question hanging over Tony's entire season mirrors Parker's exactly: has he finally bet more than the ground can give back? Rick Ness. If Parker represents everything on the line, Rick Ness represents almost nothing left to lose. And that contrast is what makes this season so brutal to watch. Rick's comeback starts with a theft. A neighboring miner stole his only suction line, the one-piece feeding water to his wash plant. Without it, Rick can't slew. Period. He tracks it down, demands it back, and the thief returns. It destroyed, basket smashed, hose crushed flat. Duct tape holding the whole thing together like some kind of insult. Rick's hands are shaking when he sees it on the trailer. His crew talks him down. Deal with the thief later. Get running first. Against the odds, Rick and his right-hand man, Zed, fire up the plant with a 2-man crew, slying stockpiled pay from Raleigh, Music Valley. The pressure is enormous. No backup, no safety net, no spare equipment. When they shut down after the first day and walk to the SLES box, Rick's heart is pounding. It's been over a year since he's seen gold. He needs this to mean something. And there it is. A picker on the left side of the box. Small, but unmistakable. Look at that. Look at that. Ain't that big, but it's definitely bigger. Look at that. Nice. Can't beat that for how much we ran. Hell no. This is huge, man. I'm proud of you. Rick stares at it. Zed grins. After everything, the year off, the battles he fought with himself, the bridges burned, this one flake of yellow matters more than any ounce count ever could. Rick hands the nugget to Zed. That first one's yours. And for a moment, 2 men who've been through hell together just stand there in the Yukon dirt, and nothing else needs to be said. But the math doesn't care about moments. Rick owes his landlord, Troy Taylor, 150 grand secured against his own mining camp. If he can't pay, Troy sells the camp and Rick's music season is done. Half the gold he mines goes straight to operating costs, fuel, food, equipment rental. He's running an ancient loader with no front cab that keeps blowing tires. Rick needs iron, needs crew, needs a break. So, he does something he hasn't done in 2 years. He drives to Dominion Creek to see Parker Schnabel. Parker and Rick. The history between these two runs deep, music, and not all of it is clean. Parker hired Rick when he was 17 years old, a kid with a small gold claim and no idea what he was doing. Rick was pivotal in building that operation into music, something real. Rising from crew member to foreman over years of 18-hour days and frozen fingers, they worked like dogs together. Parker's worst years as a manager, Rick's best years as a miner. But when the relationship cracked, it cracked hard. Words were said that couldn't be taken back. Rick walked away to mine on his own, and they haven't spoken in 2 years. Now, music, Rick's standing in Parker's yard at Dominion Creek, hat in hand, asking for a loader. Parker walks him to a machine that came with the purchase. Nothing fancy, music, low hours, but it runs. Rick braces for a negotiation, starts to talk numbers. Parker waves it off. Just use it. We'll figure it out in the fall. If you hit the mother load, I'll expect a few ounces of gold rent. But right now, just get back on your feet, man. That's the biggest thing. I hate talking money, especially talking with friends about it. Why? Music. Just use it. We'll work it out in the fall. Sure. You hit the mother load, I'll expect a few music ounces of gold rent. But no, if it helps you out, take it and just get back on your feet, man. Like, that's the biggest music thing that you need to do. Rick's voice catches. He tells Parker he knows they've had their differences, but he won't leave him in the lurch. Parker nods, tells him it's a small gesture, but it beats a get out of my yard. It's a quiet moment between music, two men who built something together and tore it apart. And the fact that Parker's offering help when he's 15 million in the hole himself says something about what kind of man he's becoming. But later, alone with his thoughts, Parker admits something Rick said got under his skin. Rick told him he gave Parker his best years, and Parker can't wrap his head around how a 42-year-old man talks like his prime is behind him. Business is hard enough when you're in a good headspace. Parker hopes Rick is doing better. He just isn't sure. Parker wants Rick to make it. The question is whether Rick still believes he can. Meanwhile, back at Parker's operation, something is about to shift. After weeks of nothing but breakdowns, mud, and money flying out the door, the season is about to turn in a way nobody expected. Parker's season turns back at the El Dorado cut. Tyson Lee is about to do something that looks completely reckless on paper. He needs to drag wash plant Lucifer 80 tons of steel 150 yards uphill to the top of a 45-foot wash plant pad. The incline is 25 degrees. He's using a 75-ton excavator and 2 steel cables. If either cable snaps, the excavator tumbles backward and 80 tons of wash plant comes crashing down the slope. People could die. Tyson starts the climb, the cables groan under the load. The excavator digs in, tracks biting into the hillside. Inch by inch, Sloofer crawls up the incline while the crew watches from a safe distance, eyes locked on those 2 cables. At the top, Tyson hits the hardest part, spinning the plant 90 degrees with almost no room for error. He's backing down a slope with the plant still attached, pulling it square so the tailings run the right direction. One miscalculation and it's over. He nails it. We're coming up on the hardest part here, and that's going to be spinning the plant 90 degrees, and so our tailings are going the way we want them to. Sloofer reaches her new home in one piece. The crew bolts on the hopper feeder, hooks up the conveyors, connects the super stacker generator. When they fire the plant up later than any season in Parker's career, nearly 7 weeks in, there's a collective exhale across the entire operation. The season has finally actually started. But it's not that simple, though. The first gold wave from the El Dorado cut comes in below target. The Unforgiven cut delivers just 409 total, almost 100 short of what Parker needed. And then the wash plant's water pump cracks on the intake hose, sucking air and killing pressure. No pressure, no gold. Mechanics. Liam and Tyler seal the crack with silicone. A fix so sketchy Liam calls it a pipe dream. Not even a bush fix, but it holds. The plant fires back up. Meanwhile, Parker's crew at Australia Creek pumps 2,000 gallons a minute out of a flooded cut, strips the entire money pit down to pay dirt after 11 weeks and millions of dollars. And mechanic Alec Kelly hauls a pump 4M through terrain that has 2 feet of standing water and barely enough clearance to keep the equipment dry. Every step forward costs money Parker doesn't have yet. And then Dominion Creek answers back. Parker's crew gets Big Red. His monster wash plant, the machine that's pulled tens of thousands of ounces over the years, fired up at the money pit. It runs for less than 2 days on ditch dirt. Not even the real pay layer. Just the margins, the edges, the throwaway ground around the drainage ditches that most miners wouldn't bother with. The scale reads 118 ounces, worth over $230,000, nearly double what the drill test projections predicted. 20, 30, 40, 50,000, 118.2 nice. Parker stares at the numbers. Almost 3.0 an hour on ditch dirt. The implications hit him immediately. If the throwaway ground runs this hot, the real pay layer underneath is going to be something special. Parker turns to his crew. Not bad for a first run, he says. But the look on his face says more than that. For the first time since he signed that $15 million check, Parker Schnabel looks like a man who might actually pull this off. Gold recovery expert Chris Dumit has been squeezing every flake he can find. Music, running leftover tailings from the gold room through his own equipment, pulling 9.0 out of waste dirt everyone else threw away. Music, 9.0 that pay bills. 9.0 that buy another week. When your margins are this tight, nothing gets wasted. Chris is literally paying for fuel and food with dirt other miners dumped outside the gold room door. But the Dominion numbers change the entire picture. Parker's 2 wash plants together push his season total past 1,300 ounces in a single week. He went from averaging 200 ounces to nearly 400. How many hours was that? 44 hours on Big Red so it was like almost 3 ounces an hour. 2.66. That's pretty impressive. You know, we went from a 200-ounce week to almost 400-ounce week. The El Dorado cut pulls 250. Big Red adds 118 from money pit ditches alone. Combined with Chris's tailings haul, Parker banks 368.0 in 7 days. For the first time all season, the numbers are trending the right direction. Parker's crew can feel it, too. Mitch, Tyson, Chris, Jordan. The tension that's been sitting on everyone's shoulders since day one starts to lift. Not completely, but enough. The ground at Dominion Creek is real. The drill tests weren't lying. And if they can keep these plants running, if the pumps hold, the dozers stay upright, and the Yukon doesn't throw another curveball, 5,000 ounces isn't just a target anymore. Parker's $15 million gamble might actually be the smartest move he's ever made. Tony and Rick update. Tony puts his daughter Monica in charge at Indian River, music, and races back to Paradise Hill to fix a broken trommel. Monica steps up, troubleshooting conveyor jams, fixing a flash flood that nearly washes out the only access road when a neighbor's settling pond dam bursts upstream. She gets the shaker deck running and delivers 119.0 in her first full week, worth over $240,000, but it's barely a third of what they need weekly to hit 6,000.0. And then the screen panels on the shaker deck shatter under the pounding of the rocks. Monica's, music, bush fix scrap punch plate bolted over the holes and covered with rubber matting. Holds for a while, music, then it doesn't. Replacement panels are 3 to 4 weeks out. You can't buy these things at music, Walmart. Tony says he shuts down Indian River entirely. You cannot get these things at Walmart, so to speak. So I can almost guarantee you that anywhere between 3 and 4 weeks to get a new deck. So I think what we're going to do is we'll take everybody down to the hill. 2 months into the season, the king of the Klondike has barely 200 ounces banked. His 6,000-ounce target now looks less like a goal and more like a number somebody made up. Rick scrapes together 50 ounces and hand delivers them to Troy Taylor just before the deadline. His best cleanup yet, 30 ounces in a single week, up from an average of 15. He's at 77 total with a 000 as the target. The math says he needs 60 ounces a week for the rest of the season. And he's never hit that number once. But Rick Ness didn't drag himself back to the Yukon to let math decide how this ends. Fred Lewis stops by Parker's camp to say goodbye. His ground didn't pan out. His money's gone. He asks Parker for a job. Rock truck, excavator, anything. Parker doesn't have room on his crew. Fred nods, shakes his hand, and drives away from the Yukon for what might be the last time. His wife, Kara, tells him to focus on what he accomplished, not what he lost. But the look on Fred's face says the Yukon took something from him that is not getting back. The hard truth is that the line between Fred's situation and Parker's is music, thinner than anyone wants to admit. Gold mining doesn't care how much you invested or how hard your crew worked. It only cares about what's in the ground. But Parker has Dominion Creek. He has Big Red running at double projections. Nearly 3.0 an hour on dirt.